Well, we have Fort Lee's Mayor, Mark Sokolich, on the line with us right now. Mark, are you there?
I am.
Good to have you. We know that you filed that class action lawsuit. You were part of the group that filed that class action lawsuit last year. What do you make of this postponement until further notice?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I think it's a great step in the right direction. I don't think there's complete clarity as to what the reason for the pause was, but I think it's economic considerations, it's political considerations. I'm pretty sure it's a combination of things. And again, we're not in Fort Lee trying to stop the MTA from operating properly. We just want to make sure that there's fairness in the process. And right now, if the current plan were to go through, too much of the burden would be visited on my residents, not to mention the 20 to 25% increase in traffic we're going to have to absorb.
Yeah, you were worried about air quality, right? That was one of the big issues.
The thrust of our lawsuit is about air quality. People with pre-existing conditions, people with conditions that they don't even realize they have, but will ultimately now experience as a result of the increase in pollution. It's an environmental issue, it's a health issue, and that was our approach in this class action lawsuit.
And there was this thought that a lot more people would be using the GWB as a means to kind of like avoid congestion pricing. I mean, is that the concern that, you know, more cars would have to use the GWB, or would they try to avoid it as to not be double charged?
Well, sure. I mean, I believe by the MTA's own admission, there was an indication that those most environmentally sensitive communities, with an example given of Fort Lee, could see an increase in traffic of upwards of 20%. We can't fit one more car here. You know, we behave heroically. We have another 30, 40 police officers on staff to handle it. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in maintenance every year because of the use of our roadways. We have pedestrian safety issues here that we're trying to deal with on a daily basis. If you add 20% more traffic into that already overflowing pool, it is going to so hamper the quality of our life that I will tell you, I don't know what people's reactions are going to be. And yeah, they're going to want to avoid the exorbitant cost of congestion pricing and come on up here to go to 65th Street, 67th Street, 62nd Street, or wherever the cutoff is. I believe it's 60th at this point.
Mark,
that's what this is about.
One of the things I find so ironic about what you're talking about, the concern about environmental issues in Fort Lee, you know, one of the reasons, one of the rationales behind congestion pricing is to improve the environment, to reduce the number of people relying on cars, reduce fossil fuel emissions. I wonder how you square that circle from where you are, because it seems, you know, from what you're saying, your lawsuit is alleging all it does is shift the environmental burden instead of actually reducing it.
So when you're committed to driving into the city, I don't know what the studies indicate as to how many people are now going to be driven to mass transit, but I can tell you when your job requires you to drive in and not use mass transit for whatever reason, it's going to be very difficult to get a large percentage of those people to now all of a sudden decide to take the bus, to take the train. I don't know that there's going to be a huge wave of people that are now going to turn to mass transit. They're going to look for alternate ways at the same cost they incurred before congestion pricing to get into the city. So we don't think it's going to be impactful. We don't, number one. And number two, the economics of this is completely unfair. I mean, as I understand it, no funds are coming to Jersey. No funds are coming to the places that deal with this regional traffic burden. Remember, Fort Lee is the hometown to the busiest bridge in the entire galaxy, and with that comes great responsibility. And we deal with it very proudly, and we're very effective. But we just can't handle the additional traffic, and we do not think that any alternative mass transit because of this cost is going to have any positive impact, at least on the borough of Fort Lee in our region.
Mr. Mayor, just one more while we have you right here. You raised this lawsuit, you filed this lawsuit last year. It's been many months. Of course, this has been talked about for 2 decades. What do you make of the timing now of what this delay will be, as we were less than a month from this going into effect?
Well, I think that there's enough pressure out there that, and we're grateful to the governor for pausing and maybe perhaps reconsidering this initiative. We're grateful to everybody else that was involved in this determination. I think they're going to start rethinking things, and I think maybe, just maybe, they're going to insert a little more fairness into this program. And then it'll be more tolerable. But until then, it's just completely unfair to Jersey, to North Jersey and in particular to the borough of Fort Lee.
All right, Mayor Mark Sokolich there in Fort Lee. Mayor, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.